What's up, everyone? This is Nemo, and I wanted to do my first impression of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Believe it or not, this is the fourth time that I'm recording audio for this, so I hope I don't seem too rushed. But I did spend a ton of time in other recordings, just having a heck of a day with the computer. But I did say that I would get this content out, and I have not been happy with things I've done, and I want to get this out though. So when I said that I was going to do this, I really didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy it because I didn't want to rush through this game. Once I started playing it, I decided I really want to stay in this world. I want to enjoy this. I want to explore all of the amazing puzzles and the loot and the bosses and the characters. And so if I'm rushing through it, I'm not going to enjoy it. And so I will say this is the first impression. The final review for it probably won't come out for a while. Just going to be completely honest with you. I'm enjoying it that much that I'm 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 going to take my time. Um, and hopefully that gives you an idea of how I feel with this game. Um, this has been a game that surprised me. I never played it before. I'm kind of a I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan, but I'm kind of a bandwagoner in the last like 5 years. Um, Growing up, we'd never had a lot of money, so we had to choose. Okay, um, you get one console when they all came out, and I know that a lot of people probably got multiple consoles, but we got one. And I never chose the Nintendo ones. Um, it was a PlayStation, PlayStation 2, um, Xbox 360, And so there was a ton of games that I missed. And so now that I have the money and I got a Nintendo Switch, I played Breath of the Wild, and I was taken back by how amazing that game was. Went in, played the between two worlds, um, uh, Link's Awakening, Link to the Past, all these great, amazing, wonderful Zelda games. And so when I heard this was coming out, I thought, well, that's perfect. I get to play the what people are saying is, and if I'm correct on lore, the first game in the series, essentially, like from a story perspective. I know it's not the first game, I know, um, but it's supposed to be, from the narrative standpoint of the Legend of Zelda. Skyward Sword is supposed to be the origin story of it all. I think it would be kind of cool if we find out that they kind of needed to do this because of Breath of the Wild 2. There might be something that touches upon it. I don't know. That would be cool. Um, And the story kind of starts off as Link and Zelda. You're in this village that is like an island in the sky. And a lot of the game early on and even throughout, from what I've played, is there's a lot of obviously sky involved in flying. Flying is a big component in this game. You have a creature that looks like a giant bird. It's called a loftwing. And you kind of start off looking for him. You're getting ready to do this ceremony, and it's a race with other um, people in the village who are, your students, and you're looking to become a knight. And there's this contest that you have to have with them, and whoever wins this race basically gets to be a knight. And you start off looking for your Loftwing because he went missing. You do end up finding him, takes you through a little tutorial on stuff. You just say you end up finding, and things go good for you. um, but not before too long, Zelda is captured. You find out that Zelda and Link have to work in tandem to save the world, and it's at that point that Link discovers that there is a surface because they had no idea there was a surface. All they knew was that island in the sky that they lived on because the clouds were so dense under them it created this barrier. that they just had no idea that there was anything more to the world. And Link then also discovers that he will be heading to the surface relatively soon. And so that's how the game kicks off. Um, and it's a really good story. It's a great story. It's really engaging, and there's a lot of depth to the characters and to the progression. The dungeons that I've been into uh, have a lot of fun puzzles, and there's so much to do in them. It's so good. I'm gonna point this out that when this game came out on Friday, right after work, I have two jobs, and actually I guess three, and one of them is I have to interview comedians. It's fun. It's great. I love talking to them. But I'm not gonna lie, I was playing this game while I was interviewing a comic Friday evening, and then I continued to then play this game for another 10 hours. And I didn't get past the first dungeon. Like, that's how much I was exploring. I was running around, I was doing all that. Um, I gave myself carpal tunnel um, for Saturday, and actually had to take a few hours off. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that part of just that kind of opening the door to a new world you've never experienced before. And you only get to do that every once in a while, and there's only a handful of games that will give you that wonderment, and this game did that for me. Um, Now, there's some controversial things with this game, and one of it, and probably the biggest one, being controls. I know that there's a lot of critics out there who've said that this game um, could be a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for the controls. There's other people who've said a lot of worse things, but we'll get into that. But the controls they're a pain. I'll be honest, like right out the gate, they're kind of a pain. In fact, the first 10 minutes of playing the game, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this. I really like everything about it, but the controls might make this more difficult. But I decided to just apply myself to really focus in on learning the control scheme. And after about 30 or 40 minutes, I got used to it and it was fine. So, for those of you who don't know, well, this game did come out on the Wii about 10 years ago, and it was only done in motion control. Now, aside from the fact that I didn't have access to that, I also wasn't interested because it had motion control, and I'm just not into motion control. I think I mentioned it before. I'm not, I want to get into a game where I can just explore for 9 or 10 hours. I don't want to be worrying about hydrating and, you know, um, wiping sweat off my controllers because I'm having virtual battles with things. I'd rather, do that old school. And the reason why this game really kind of added more for me and why it became that game that I really focused in on when it was announced was because they said they were doing button controls and motion controls. And so the controversy kind of comes up though is that the button controls they're they're different. Very, very different. Most of us gamers were used to two analog system. The right analog controls the camera, the left analog controls the character. And that's pretty much standard for every game. But this game, the left analog controls the character and the right analog controls the sword. And it's not perfect. There needs to be some work done on it. It's accurate enough, but there is some times when precision strikes are needed, like in a boss fight, and I didn't feel like I had all of the precision that I would have preferred. Um, on the other hand, though, to move the camera, because there is a way to control the camera that was an issue for some people, the way to do it, though, is you have to hold down the L1 button and then use the right analog stick. Now, I would have preferred this to be the other way around. This would be my fix to the situation, is that you play it out normal, right analog stick, camera, left analog stick, character. Then when you got into a battle, you use the L1 to control the sword. Kind of that would be your button that engages battle. And you can actually incorporate like the lock-on system with that as well. As you know, most 3D Zelda games, you kind of lock in on your enemy when you're going to fight them. So this would kind of fix two things at once. And maybe they'll add that in. Maybe there'll be enough people who've complained about it. I'm not the only one. Trust me. Many people have had that thought. Um, Graphics and performance, 60 FPS looks wonderful. The character design, they brightened them up, added different shading. Uh, Link and all the characters look really, really good. Now I know the background is still 2011, still the Wii, but it works. It does. It doesn't detract from anything. The performance has been wonderful. I know that the video that you're seeing right now is kind of glitchy and splotchy at times, but that's actually my capture card. I'm working on it. I'm trying to do the best I can at getting that more professional and more set up. But I wanted to use a capture card because I wanted to prove it, that I'm genuine. And I want to show that when I talk about games, it's because I do love them and I do play them. Anyone can talk over trailers, and so it was really important to me to get the capture card and get myself used to using it and learning about it and being able to increase my performance with that so I could provide that detail of me actually playing the games I'm talking about. You have no credibility, if you're just talking over trailers and people don't know if you've played the games or not. Um, so audio on this game, wonderful. The soundtrack on it is so great. There's times when you're up in the village and you just jump off the ledge and you just carefully just drop you know into the clouds, into this abyss, and you call your Loftwing up and he scoops up under you, and this big orchestral epic heroic music is played, and it just adds to the wonderment and the amazing experience that you're having with this game. The soundtrack, honestly, might be the best in the Zelda series. It's that good. It really, really is something that was slept on. Even in the Wii version, it's really, really good. I've heard it recently to see if did different scores to add to it, and it was even then 10 years ago, wonderful. I think a lot of people missed out on how good it is. So yeah, if you've never played this game before, and you're like me who just wasn't interested in a game that didn't have that only had motion control, then I would definitely recommend getting it. This is one of those worlds that is just so fun to get lost into, and it can really just encompass you and take you out of reality and bring you into this world full of amazement and puzzles and all these wonderful things, and why we play these kind of games. It is such a fun game, and it really, um, I would say it's so far it's my game of the year. I know I keep saying that. I said that about Monster Hunter, and I'm still enjoying the hell out of that. I'll tell you that. But I haven't played Monster Hunter since I got this game, and I don't know if I will. I need to. I understand because I need to also do a final review for that as well. But I really, really like it. The one thing I did also want to talk about is the controversy of the rating. This game got so much hate, so much shade thrown at this game, and it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair because so many people misjudged this game really, really early on before they even played it. In fact, there's a lot of critics coming out right now who are saying, I think we were too hard on this game. I think we were wrong. And that's rare. But they're losing their credibility because they should, because they were wrong, because they jumped on the bandwagon of bashing something that didn't deserve it and uh, that had a lot of wonderful aspects to it. And people are coming out and playing it and saying, why would you say this is a bad game? This is a great game. And you contrast that. with the 2011 Wii version getting a 93 on Metacritic, and this version getting an 81. And it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense at all. It speaks to the media in gaming right now. It speaks to the critics. It speaks to Twitter. It speaks to that bandwagon mentality. Because how do you say a updated version, updated graphics, um, frame rate, and possibly the biggest thing, controls, all these things are fixed or approved upon, and the game does worse? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Somebody is lying. Somebody is wrong. Somebody was not honest in their review. And that's just the truth. Um, and I think that it's kind of a sad state because this is one of those games that a lot of people are going to sleep on because it got so much hate early on that they've already written it out. That's not going to be a game they're going to waste their time on. And it really, really is worth it. One thing I will say, before I get too far ahead of myself, is not is speaking of bad things. I've talked about all the wonderful things. I've talked about how much I love this game and how deep this game really is. The controls, though, again, I didn't speak about the motion controls, and I think that's kind of important because the motion controls, like in battle, are really, really good. Super tight, super responsive, what you want. But flying, when you're flying your Loftwing, or Beetle, which is an attachment you get later on, when you're using motion controls, it's almost non-playable. I don't know how people like Misclick are only playing with motion control. When I set up to do this video, in fact, and I was doing the capture, for some reason my Switch um, recognized my Pro controller as, and this is weird by the way, but as it's doing motion control. So I actually had to turn it off and reset it up as I wasn't. And the reason why is because I was trying to fly my Loftwing and I literally couldn't. Like, it was so unresponsive. It was so clunky. It would almost like it was doing the exact opposite of what I wanted it to do. And I actually tried later using motion control like how you're supposed to, because I understand that that scenario is odd. So I actually tried to do it the way you're supposed to, and lo and behold, same results. It was still really bad. Um, so both controls I think have their downside, but it's not something that isn't isn't something you can overcome. If you invest, like I said, with the button controls, which is what I've been using and what I've been having so much fun with, if you invest 30 or 40 minutes of your time to working on that muscle memory and really getting it down, the payout on it is hours and hours and hours of a brand new, wondrous, deep Zelda adventure. I don't know about you, but that's worth it to me. That's definitely worth it to me. Especially if you've never played the game. And that's what I say. Like, I always want to throw that caveat out with this. If you played this game and you beat it and you got everything you wanted out of it, then that's awesome and that's great. In fact, I actually feel bad for you because you may not want to replay it again, and that's kind of a loss. Um, but I get why you wouldn't want to buy it again. I definitely get that. But if you've never played it, I don't know what's holding you up because it is so good. It is so much fun. There's so much to it. It's well worth the $60. Um, Again, especially if you've never played it, because it is a new experience and it's done the right way or the best way that they could. Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm genuine, and when I say that, kind of like those critics, um, I'm not gonna judge a game before I play it, right? I might be hyped on a game or not hyped on another, but I will never judge a game before it comes out, before I get to play it. But I'm going to be honest with you when it comes to criticizing those things. And one of the things, the controls, the controls were improved upon, but they are far from perfect. Um, so that is something to take into account. But it's if you ask me, it's worth more than it's well worth its money. I'll put it that way. And I understand there's some people who've been holding out and they've said, well, I'm waiting for Skyward Sword or is waiting for Twilight Princess or Wind Waker or something like that. You know what? I'm down with that too. I'm totally cool. Give me all the Zelda you got. I'm here for all of it. But anyway, I'm curious what you guys thought about it. Did the hate kind of scare you away? You decide to not get this game, or have you picked it up? How are you doing with the controls? How are you enjoying the game? Really anything. I'd like to hear your hell. If you didn't like it, if you got it and you were like, this game stinks, I'd love to hear that too. I'm not gonna come after you. I respect everyone's opinion, and um, but whatever you have, I'd love to hear from you. Also, I do want to say too that I uh, I understand that our time is precious. We don't always have a lot of it, and so I really appreciate you taking your precious time and spending it with me here on the channel. I know we all don't have a lot of it, and so it means the world to me that you take that time. I've seen the subs go up, the views go up, all these things on this channel go up, and that just means everything to me. And I can't thank you enough. I will continue to get better at this. I'll continue to learn how to edit better, how to get all this stuff to finally at some point in this journey give you guys content that is worth your time. But I am working towards it, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow.